Well, welcome everyone to the first of our webinar series on the Nolan Business Solution Suite apps. Specifically today, we're going to focus our discussion on our Advanced Bank Reconciliation module. Throughout the presentation, we're going to kind of go through the presentation from beginning to end. If you have questions that pop up in your mind during our presentation, feel free to drop your question into our Q&A inbox, and at the end of our session, some of my colleagues will join me and we can hopefully help address those questions also. So again, welcome to our session where we're going to discuss ways to optimize your NetSuite environment with some of the Nolan Business Solution Suite apps, in particular today, Advanced Bank Reconciliation. First, let me introduce myself. I'm Carol Darcy, a Senior Manager and Solution Specialist here at Nolan. And to tell you a little bit more about Nolan Business Solutions and who we are as an organization, we've been a NetSuite solution provider since 2006, both as implementation consultants and Suite Cloud developer. Our recent 5-star partner award acknowledges our deep commitment to the NetSuite community and our ability to deliver creative solutions that enhances your NetSuite user experience. We are headquartered in the UK, have a local office in the US, in Boulder, Colorado. So let's dive right into Advanced Bank Reconciliation, or we like to call it Nolan ABR. So Nolan ABR has earned the Build for NetSuite native suite app badge. And that essentially supports our claim that this solution fully resides on the Suite Cloud platform and inside your NetSuite environment. And it was really built to act and feel like any other function inside of NetSuite, which really offers you a seamless experience when working with our product. The Nolan ABR Suite app not only facilitates the reconciliation of bank accounts, but it also supports reconciliation for credit card merchant gateways such as Amazon, PayPal, and we can also support reconciliation of corporate credit cards like Amex corporate cards. The focus of today's webinar is going to be on reconciliation of bank accounts, and part 2 in our webinar series will review the credit card reconciliation process in more details. So some of you might be asking, NetSuite has a native offering for bank reconciliation, so what are the main differences here and why consider Nolan ABR? Nolan ABR really offers many features that can help you streamline the tedious and time-consuming task of bank reconciliation. Sorry. Starting with the import of your bank data, Nolan ABR has flexible and user-definable import options, giving you the flexibility to import the data you need in order to more effectively reconcile to your GL transactions. We also have enhanced auto matching features that include support for multiple and combined matching criteria. We're going to talk and demonstrate priority levels, amount tolerance, and grouping rules today. Also, if you're looking for ways to auto-post recurring type transactions, such as bank fees, automated fund transfers, or even auto-post customer payments that are debited directly to your bank account, Nolan ABR can support this using journal templates. Our journal templates also support posting to GL custom segments, and as of recently, we also support advanced intercompany journals. With its ability to support high volume of transactions, and with process automation tools like our reconciliation wizard, you can really save hours of reconciliation work every day or every month. Last but not least, our product design delivers better audit trail of your reconciliation process, which in turn allows us to provide you with enhanced safe searches and reporting capabilities. So basically in our product demonstration today, I will focus on these main features and how they differentiate ourselves from the native NetSuite function. So the process that we're going to walk through today essentially starts with the extraction of the GL transaction for the period of time that we want to reconcile. The reason why I like to highlight this way is to really indicate and differentiate ourselves as a tool that can reconcile transactions on a daily basis, weekly or monthly basis. So the period of time that you want to reconcile is really up to you. So we're not so much tied to reconciling a fiscal period, looking at bank reconciliation as a month-end process, but really can be used as a tool for daily reconciliation of transactions. Once we've extracted that GL transaction, those GL transactions, we need to import or bring in the bank data for the related period. This can be accomplished one of two ways. We can either do a manual import of your bank statement. Essentially, that entails you logging into your bank portal, downloading either a BAI or a CSV file from the bank portal, and then manually uploading that data into NetSuite. For those of you that might want to eliminate that manual step and would like to explore a more automated way of bringing in the bank data into NetSuite, we have a flexible offering through Nolan Cloud Services that will basically see you connect through Nolan Cloud Services directly to your bank, generally through an SFTP secured connection. That will pull your bank activity file, typically in a BAI format, into our hosted platform, Nolan Cloud Services, where your bank data will then be populated and can then be pushed to your Oracle NetSuite instance. And all of that is securely done through an authentication-based process through a web services connection. Once we have our banking, both our GL and our banking information, we will go through an auto match process, and I will highlight essentially all the additional auto matching features you will be privy to with our tool. Then for what might be remaining on our bank statement that we need to post and update NetSuite with, we're going to talk about journal templates. Our templates, as I mentioned already, can help you auto post not only journals, but also customer payments or even advanced intercompany journals. For those situations where maybe a parent company is exchanging, is transferring funds between related entities. Last but not least, so far we've pretty much automated everything, hence why we're calling it auto match and auto post. So once the rules are all set up for those two functions, the idea is that ABR is taking care of, a good percentage of your transactions, leaving you truly to focus on the last step here, looking at, what are the one-time adjustments that are required to finally bring our GL in line with our bank statement. And then all of that can be accomplished on the main screen, helping you reconcile and produce that closing balance report that much more effectively. So we're going to do a quick demonstration of all these features. What you currently see is our Reconcile Bank Statement window inside of NetSuite. So again, reiterating that our Suite app is a Suite app bundle that you download from the Suite App Store. And once installed inside your NetSuite environment, you will have an additional tab labeled ABR. And essentially, you are taking all your bank reconciliation effort and processes through the Nolan process. So we have completely separate records from the native NetSuite, and you'll see throughout the demonstration why that is, because of all the enhanced capabilities that we can provide that way. So we got our ABR function. This is where a lot of our, our rules are going to be set up, our templates. We're going to have a quick overview of those in a moment, and the reconciliation process itself is under this sub menu. But I took you right to the main screen here, our reconcile screen, where we can see in the top section a little bit of information about the bank account that we're reconciling in this case. So we're working on Carol's operating account. We have a view into the closing balances that we're trying to reconcile to between our GL and our bank. And as we go through the reconciliation process here, our goal is to essentially get to a point where we have an unreconciled difference of 0, meaning that whatever difference we might have between the GL ending balance and our bank ending balance is fully explained by our list of outstanding items. The bottom section of our window is the detailed part, where on the left-hand side we have our NetSuite transactions. On the right-hand side, we're going to have our bank statement transaction. As expressed earlier, that data can be auto-populated through our Nolan Cloud Services We can automate the extract of the GL transactions for the period of time that corresponds to the bank data that is imported. So if we're looking for full automation of that data feed, we can certainly support that as well. So we're, just for sake of time here today, we already have our GL data populated on our screen and our bank data, kind of mimicking the idea that, you know, with a fully automated process, you basically come in the morning and all of that information is readily available on the screen. The next process that needs to be initiated is an auto match process. Although that can also be automated through our tool, for demonstration purposes today, I'm going to manually initiate that process so that we can review every step of the process together and also look at all the enhanced feature we offer in each area. So we've got a typical NetSuite bank account with some bill payments. We have some checks. We also have some customer payments, and we got some journals. On the bank side, we have corresponding data with vendor ACH payments, settlements, some check deposits, and obviously checks. So we're going to go through a process of auto matching that data based on a predefined set of matching criteria. I'm going to initiate the auto match process here. And essentially what's happening right now is every bank statement line on the right-hand side is being verified to see if there is a corresponding record on the GL side. And that is accomplished based on a number of rules or preset rules that I've set up. So let's just give you an appreciation of what our matching rule capabilities are. We're looking at all the matching rules associated with Carol's operating account. Matching rules are typically based on the bank transaction type or code associated with the bank data. So in the case of a BAI file, which is very conducive to auto matching transaction, this is what we brought in through our integration. So we brought in the BAI coding, allowing us to be very specific when looking at the bank data so that we can have matching rules perhaps that are very different for a check versus an ACH payment. Sometimes that data can carry the same code on the bank side, so it's important to be able to associate multiple matching criteria to each of these transactions. So brief, at a summary level here, we can see I've got some matching rules for my checks. I've got some fund transfer rules. I've got rules around the customer payments that are being recorded in my bank. And I can use various criteria. So depending on what we're looking at, we can do a verification of date, document number. We can use the reference field as a comparison element. And you can see that we also have grouping capabilities. So as an example that we're going to witness very soon, I've got some customer payments that have been recorded individually in NetSuite. And through a grouping capability on the memo field, the individual transactions all carry the same memo, allowing ABR to recognize that they belong together, should be batched together, and matched to a consolidated amount on the bank side as an example. So I'm gonna just open this very briefly. I mean, for sake of time today, we won't get into too much detail around matching rules and all that, but giving you here a quick visual of the multiple matching criteria you can leverage to effectively match your transactions. Can be a comparison of date, check number, and reference field or description field. Those three matching criteria, truthfully, is similar to what you might be doing in native NetSuite. Where we really differentiate ourselves a little bit here is that on the amount, as an example, not only can we look for exact match on the amount, but we have a concept of tolerance, both a tolerance amount or a tolerance percentage. This is very effective to handle all the sort of immaterial differences that your cash reconciliation might carry. So in the specific example we're going to see here, we're going to have a check. In this specific rule, I'm allowing a check to be off up to $1 as when it clears the bank, and have ABR automatically handle that difference. So depending on your materiality and your tolerance levels, you can assign those to your rules so that insignificant or very small differences can automatically be handled by ABR instead of requiring a manual adjustment on your side. Then we do things like priority levels that allows you to have multiple matching rules for the same bank transaction type, and do a more direct association of the matching rule or the bank lines to a specific transaction type in NetSuite. That is sometimes important because the bank might treat a cash receipt as a cash receipt. So it will carry the same coding because from a bank perspective, a cash receipt is a cash receipt. But perhaps your NetSuite transaction on the NetSuite side, we have to have various or differing rules, whether that receipt has been recorded as a cash sale or a customer payment or a deposit inside of NetSuite. Multi-layer type idea for your matching rules. And then last but not least is just giving you a quick visual of a grouping rule. So the grouping rule that I started alluding to earlier for our customer receipts. So here's an example where customer payments have been recorded individually in NetSuite. And with our grouping capability, I have the ability to create some logic so that ABR can recognize customer payments that need to be grouped together to match to a consolidated amount deposited on the bank side. So truly our grouping rules can facilitate many to one, one to many, or many to many, because the grouping capability is also available on the bank side. Native NetSuite has some grouping capability as of recently. But it's on if I'm not mistaken, on one specific account, the document number. So we offer a little bit more flexibility, grouping flexibility, and you can leverage multiple fields on your transaction for that grouping mechanism, whether you're looking at a check number, an entity name, a memo, or also a combination of date. So on that note, let's go back to our reconcile screen. So our auto match is complete. Out of 23 bank transactions, 18 matches were made. So we're going to go back to the reconcile screen. Now notice how I'm still in the same reconcile. So you will notice throughout the demonstration that I always come back to this screen. Everything with our process is done out of this one window, which we believe is a little bit more of a streamlined process than having to jump from one window to the other as you move along your reconciliation process. So right away, ABR is assuming it did a fantastic job of matching its transaction based on the great work you've done with your rules. So it will display the list of remaining unmatched transactions for us. So this is where we would initiate the next step of the process. But before we do that, I want to toggle back and take a look at that list of matched transactions so that I can highlight a couple things for you. So we will notice all the checks and bill payments that have been matched. One of the biggest difference with our product essentially is the little match ID that I'm currently sorting on, which by the way, you can sort on any fields that you're looking at if you want to sort by date, reference, or transaction number. We also have great filtering capabilities while I'm on the topic, allowing you to create really nice subset of your data. This is pretty important when you have large volume of transaction. You might want to be able to create subsets of data as you're working through your reconciliation process to make it a little bit more effective. Perhaps you want to work on your cash receipts as one subset, and then you want to work on your disbursement side afterwards. So you can filter your data not only based on dates, but you can really get pretty granular with looking at which NetSuite transaction type are we trying to focus on, what transaction number, memo, maybe an amount range or a match number, and then you can create a corresponding filter on the bank side so that you're trying to create that corresponding view of the data that you're trying to work with. Back to our matching ID here. So I had started talking a little bit about match ID, and trying to explain that is a huge difference in our product that will facilitate a better audit trail of your reconciliation process, and we'll see down the line here facilitate better safe searches and reporting. So every single match that we do in NetSuite with our data, we actually assign a unique sequential match ID. So we not only, in comparison to native NetSuite, that will have a little checkbox indicating if a NetSuite transaction has cleared the bank or not, we go a little bit beyond that, and we actually assign a unique sequential match ID, as I mentioned. What this, basically the nice thing about that now is I have this information track in the system along with the bank data, and the bank data is stored in your NetSuite environment. So it remains stored in your NetSuite environment along with the corresponding match ID. So you can right away see later down the road if I'm looking at a transaction in NetSuite. So if I was to drill back on Acme as a vendor payment here, I have a what we call a reconciliation state record assigned to the NetSuite transaction. So this is the way we've designed our product, where all the reconciliation information is tracked. So our match number, when did that NetSuite transaction get reconciled? What is the current status of that NetSuite transaction? Is it matched, unmatched, or ultimately reconciled? And obviously, I have a direct link from that statement ABR reconciliation state record to the original transaction, the actual bill payment. So you can see that even coming at it from the NetSuite side, looking at a bill payment in NetSuite, I have a little ABR tab that will carry all the reconciliation information. So it's a little bit more than just a checkbox. It carries everything about when was it extracted for reconciliation purposes, if it is in the process of being reconciled, what status is it in, what's the matching number if it is matched. So you can see the level of detail that is being tracked at any point in time. All right, so we're back to our reconcile screen here with the match ID. So now you can see where these are coming from and how they correspond to one another. So on the NetSuite side, I've got a match ID that I can easily see which bank line it has been assigned to or matched to on the bank side. When I'm ticking these boxes here, I'm just doing this for visual purposes. I'm not rematching or going through any sort of manual matching process. Again, I'm simply doing this for your visual so you can easily refer to what I'm talking to. We also do things like automatically match voiding of transactions. So that's what we're seeing here. So a voided bill payment journal is automatically matched to the original bill payment. So we can take care of all this kind of easy peasy matching. And then we do things like groupings, as mentioned before. So here's an example where we have individual vendor payments through ACH electronic payment. Now this works really well in tandem with our own electronic payment module, where we purposely populate our transaction number with a consistent file name followed by a payment sequence. So carrying that transaction number through to ABR essentially allows me now to create a grouping rule for ABR to recognize that these vendor payments were all part of the same batch, should therefore be grouped together and be matched against, in this case, we also have a grouping rule on the bank side because the bank, for whatever reason, decided to proceed with a 2 ACH settlement for that one batch. But once again, because of the ability to create grouping on that side, ABR was able to recognize that all these transactions belong together and associate the same unique match ID to them. Similarly, on the customer side, we got a customer example here where customer checks were recorded individually on the NetSuite side and were matched to a consolidated check deposit on the bank side. So all of that we were able to automate and accomplished with a common grouping mechanism in one of the fields. Last matching example I want to highlight here is our tolerance example. So here's the example I described earlier where we have a checked 2061 that has cleared the bank. However, it cleared for a slightly different amount. It looks like we're looking at perhaps just a penny transposition here, but that only results in a 9 cents difference. So because I have a tolerance amount up to $1, ABR is able to still proceed with matching the information, create a journal adjustment for the penny difference, and then match these items together. So you can see how we're really trying to eliminate any kind of manual reconciliation process or manual adjustments that should be automatically handled by the system. So that kind of concludes the matching or the auto match part. Let's talk a little bit about auto posting now. So of the remaining transaction, we can see that we have some bank statement lines that have that did not find a corresponding transaction on the GL side. Some of these transactions are what I like to call recurring type transaction. So if you have transactions on your bank statement that are always kind of showing up the same way, whether it's a bank fee or it's a fund transfer between bank accounts or any other type of transaction that carries through the same reference or the same transaction number, or perhaps even the same amount or the same day of the month. For those kind of automated rent payment you might be seeing through your bank statement. So actions for you. I'm going to take a look right now at our list of templates as an example, give you a quick overview of what that looks like. So for Carol's operating account, we got a few templates. We got a template for fee. We got a template for, fund transfers. As highlighted on the PowerPoint slide earlier, there's different posting types that we can support. So we can obviously do a pretty standard journal entry with our templates, but we also support the auto generation of customer payments or the auto post of customer payments, assuming we've got the appropriate customer information on the bank statement to be able to accomplish that. And as of recently, we also have support for advanced intercompany journals. So if you have a scenario where you've got a parent company with related entities, multiple subsidiaries, and you're trying to move money between the bank accounts, these advanced intercompany journal will help facilitate that, because it will not only post to the cash accounts, but it will also take care of the do from between the subsidiaries. Let's just have a quick peek at auto-generating our bank fees. So we're going to edit on that template. So this is what our templates look like. Essentially, the top section of the template will help ABR identify the transaction that we're trying to auto post. So we're going to give it the matching criteria of what it needs to be looking for. In our case, we're looking for BAI code 698, as long as it contains the reference of the word fee in the description. You can see that there's a little bit of flexibility with the search operators here for an exact match, start with or contains. We got the same thing on the matching rule side of things. And then whether you want to get more granular, looking for a specific transaction number or an amount or a specific day of the month, then you can get that specific. But the key here is really the generation rule. So in our template, we're essentially giving ABR the generation rules. So how should my journal or customer payment be created? What are all the elements of it? So keeping it simple for our demo purposes today, we're auto creating a journal entry, and I need to specify the other side, because obviously this is a template for Carol's operating account, so it will post to the cash account. But what's the other side of our entry, which is bank services charge? What do I want the transaction memo of that journal to read? I can type in something specifically in here, or I can call out the reference or the description on the bank statement, is what this is doing here. And I can associate our journal to an entity in NetSuite, customer, vendor, project, or a department, class, or location if you're using any of that segmentation. And we also facilitate posting to GL custom segments. So if you have a little bit more elaborate way of posting your GL transactions through this field sourcing tab here, we can basically populate any of your custom fields inside of NetSuite also. If we're looking at auto-generating a customer payment, then we have the ability to set up some auto allocation rules to not only create the customer receipts, but do an auto allocation to the invoice based on various allocation methods. And if we're looking at advanced intercompany journals, then we're obviously setting up the journal entry for the source or where we're initiating that transaction, but we also can facilitate posting to a subsidiary record, both the debit and the credit. So if we are to initiate on our data the auto gen process here, both our fund transfer and our bank fees have templates with matching criteria that correspond to those elements. So upon clicking on auto generate here, it's going to essentially go through the remaining bank transactions, see if any of the transaction match the criteria of my templates. And for the transaction that do, it will actually update our GL, and not only update the GL, but it will carry that new GL transaction back to the reconcile screen and auto match it and assign a corresponding match ID to the transaction that initiated that posting. So 2 records created. Let's go back to our reconcile screen where we will be transactions are off that display. And if we sort by match ID, so we can see the most recent matches, here's our bank fees and our bank transfer that have been automatically posted inside of NetSuite and also reconciled to our bank statement line. I actually wanted to click on unmatched. So let's just finalize the process here. So any remaining, so the idea so far, if we just quickly summarize, is that based on our matching rules and our auto-generate rules, we've basically automated the reconciliation process. No user intervention has been essentially required because based on the rules, ABR is auto-matching, ABR is auto-posting, truly leaving your team with focusing really focusing on the true differences. So for instance, we have a little cash deposit on the bank statement side that didn't find a corresponding record or didn't match a template. I can really focus my energy on that, do proper investigation, and then realize this is just a one-time cash deposit. Any kind of one-time GL adjustments I need to make can also be made right from the reconcile screen. So there's no need to step away from this window, record a GL transaction, and then carry our reconciliation process through here. We just highlight the transaction we need an adjustment for, or multiple transactions. So we can actually highlight transactions on both sides so that we can calculate a combined difference. But in this case, it's just one single posting. So I'm going to go ahead and create journal entry. Now here you have an option in the configuration setting to either bring up this simplified transaction entry window, which essentially will allow you to very quickly process this journal. Most elements of the journal are defaulted for you already. Transaction date, the bank account, whether a debit or credit is required. You can associate a memo, location, department class or location as well. And then you just need to specify the other side of the entry essentially with perhaps miscellaneous income and do the rest of the distribution and submit that record. Sometimes I get the question, well, my journal entry is a little bit more sophisticated than that. I've got GL custom segments. I've got other elements on my journal entry that I need to populate. So as I was just mentioning, there is a configuration setting that allows you to, instead of using the simplified transaction entry adjustment window here, you can actually use your journal entry form and be able to enter all the elements that you might need to also process as part of that GL adjustment. But in our case, I've just kept it simple. One quick journal entry. And then the nice thing about doing the adjustment from the reconcile screen, again, is that we're not only updating NetSuite so that it has a proper cash position, but we're also bringing that transaction onto the reconcile screen and matching it to the bank line that initiated that adjustment. So there's no additional step required after making that adjustment. Now I'm basically in a position where we have some remaining items on the GL side, but those are, typical outstanding checks. That's fine. All my bank statement lines have been accounted for. Back to the summary section, we can see that our GL ending balance to the bank statement ending balance difference is fully explained by our list of outstanding items, leaving us with an unreconciled difference of 0. At that point, I have the ability to click the reconcile button, which will essentially move all of these transaction ABR statuses from matched to reconciled so that they don't show up on our window anymore. And if I have a need to unreconcile bank statements, I can do that. That is a utility that's available with our tools, so you can unreconcile a process at any point in time. So here's our reconciliation is complete. And then sometimes people will like to see the good old auditor's report. We definitely have out of the box a closing balance report that I will need to refresh my screen here to show up the most recent one. So here's the one that we just reconciled. So you could reprint a closing report for any statement date. So I happen to only have one reconciliation here, but if we had multiple reconciliation, they would all be listed on here, and I can reprint that closing report at any point in time. Our out-of-the-box report is a good old PDF document that will have on page 1 a summary of the reconciliation with our NetSuite balances, NetSuite and bank balances, and a summary of the outstanding items that make up the difference. And then page 2 and on of the report will essentially give the detail behind those outstanding transaction or those differences. Now, if you keep in mind the match ID, the audit trail that we've talked about earlier, that essentially is very helpful to help create safe searches, not only on your NetSuite reconciliation data, but also on the bank side, because as I mentioned before, we carry inside of NetSuite all your bank information. We keep that data specifically for audit trail purposes and reporting purposes. So as a quick peek or appreciation of that, we are looking at a safe search that we typically install during our implementation. So it's a safe search on our NetSuite reconciliation state record, allowing me to very easily create a list of outstanding transactions for Carol's operating account as an example. So I can create a safe search on any reconciliation account. I can specify a date. In our case, we're just going to do a quick outstanding list of items by selecting the ABR status of unmatched. So you can see how essentially your safe search is like any other NetSuite safe search. The reason why we kind of install them as a bundle in your environment is so that you are aware of all the available fields for the reconciliation information. And then essentially you can take that master list and modify it as you see fit. In our case, based on the filtering criteria, now I'm showing my list of outstanding items at this moment in time for Carol's operating account, including match information, memo, ABR statuses, etc. So leveraging the wonderful safe search capabilities of NetSuite, I can now export that data to Excel, to PDF, print, or email to someone as required. Last but not least, I've been talking about process automation a little bit. So I just want to give you a glimpse of what our reconciliation wizard looks like. I mentioned that earlier in the presentation. So the idea behind the reconciliation wizard is to help automate these processes so that you don't necessarily have to have a user click on auto match, auto generate like I was doing. So either through the automated import of the bank data, we can also initiate the auto match process. But should you choose to manually import your statements, you still have the ability to automate the processes with, as an example, the reconciliation wizard here that allows you to select multiple processes to initiate at the same time. So including extracting the GL, matching the items, auto-generating or posting our data for the period of time that we want to reconcile, and perhaps for multiple bank accounts at a time. So maybe, you know, I'm responsible for all of Carol's bank account. So I can come in the morning, basically have my data imported into a consolidated bank file. And once that data is in the system, manually or automated through Nolan Cloud Services, then we can facilitate the auto match and the auto posting for multiple bank accounts at a time. So people, a lot of our clients get pretty excited about that. Once your rules are set up and your templates are set up, there's really a full automation that can happen to support high volume of transactions in multiple or a large number of bank accounts, so that you can basically just let the system run, do its thing, and then really focus your energy on what remains to be done afterwards. So in summary, and to conclude, essentially our advanced bank reconciliation, key takeaways that I want to make sure everybody got from the demonstration and the discussion today is our tool, in comparison to native NetSuite, will offer a lot more flexible import options so that you can bring in the data that you need to facilitate your reconciliation efforts. We offer a number of enhanced auto matching features that perhaps resonated with you today. We can help you auto post transactions with journal templates, anything from simple journal to advanced intercompany journals, also customer payments. We have the ability to handle large volume of transactions and multiple bank accounts with our automated tools. And truly our solution, I feel, is really an affordable solution, and combined with our consultants that have specific expertise around cash management and bank reconciliation, we can not only bring in this tool into your environment to work with, but you'll be able to tap into the expertise of our team to really look at how you want to handle perhaps post transactions in a slightly different way in NetSuite that would help you save so much time when you're trying to do the reconciliation at the end of the month or the day of the process. So those are my key takeaways for you today. If you are interested in more, if you want more information, or maybe you want to schedule a more specific product demo so that we can really talk about what your specific needs are and how our tool would help you with those, you can either visit our website to get a little bit more information about the product there, and feel free to contact our sales team via email or telephone, and we can facilitate a product demonstration that will be more suited to your specific needs again. So thanks for your time today. I appreciate everybody giving me the opportunity to talk about our solution. And at this time, I'll turn it to the other members of our team, Dylan and Derek, to see if we have any questions that I can help answer.
Hey, Carol, Derek here. None as of yet.
That's either a good sign or a bad sign. I'm gonna assume it's a good sign that hopefully we demonstrated a lot of really nice features here that people really liked. So we can give it a minute, see if anybody wants to type in a little something for us.
Looking like no questions have come up, but the contact information is all there. So we're happy to answer any questions that may come up later, or set up a time for anybody who wants to have a more one-on-one demo with us.
Perfect, exactly. Great, so we'll let everybody go back to their day. Thanks again for joining us, and hope you have a good rest of your afternoon. Thanks, everyone.